is up, my fellow Chibits? Hopefully all of you are having a very good day today. And so, I have a manga recommendation for all of you right now. So, yesterday, I started a manga called Inside Mari. Now, there's a Japanese name, it's a long Japanese name, which I'm not going to say, but the English title is Inside Mari. It's by the same writer that did, The Flowers of Evil. If you've ever, watched or read, Aku no Hana, then most likely you will recognize, the writer, and you'll recognize the art style, but also if you've ever read, Happiness, which is another manga, then obviously you'll recognize, the artist and the writer and also the art style. So I discovered this series because it was recommended to me a while back, like 8 months ago. It was a while ago when this series was recommended to me, and I was honestly getting an itch yesterday. I was like, I want to read something. I want to read a new manga. I want to be able to read a manga and also complete it. I don't want something that's, like, ongoing. So, I went through all my recommendations, and after reading through a couple, I'm like, you know what? I want to, see how this is, and it's called Inside Mari. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what is it about, okay? If you haven't read it, most likely you're like, okay, so Chibi, you're trying to recommend this manga, what's it about? Well, Inside Mari, I'm going to say right now, it is not a manga series for the young. There is a lot of mature themes here in this series, like in this manga. It has psychological, it has tragedy, it has some romance, school life, you could say supernatural as well, and it's very dark. There's barely any comedy. Like, there's no comedy whatsoever in this series, what the context of it's about. Let me explain what the genre besides that is. It also has body swapping. Now, I know automatically with me saying that, that's going to turn many off from wanting to read this manga, because I know many out there don't like body swapping manga, which is understandable, because I'm just going to give you all a brief FYI, okay? I really love body swapping manga. I love it to when, like, a guy goes into a female body or a female goes into a guy's body, because it's interesting. It's just interesting to see how someone would react if their gender just swapped like that and they had no control of it. I find that very interesting. However, throughout the countless different body swapping manga I have read, I've always run into, this type of genre focusing on comedy. And it was always like a rom-com, harem comedy, fan service, and it was nothing I truly really liked. I felt like the genre of body swapping wasn't being used to its absolute potential. Because, as I've said in a vlog a long time ago, I liked this genre, but I feel like a lot of manga tend to not really, emphasize on what would make this really interesting and dark and mature, and that's the fact is, like, okay, if you're a guy, and one day you wake up as a female, and you're in a female's body, obviously, there's gonna be some, things where you're gonna look at your body and all that, and you're gonna be like, whoa, and, I know many are gonna say, like, fat, they're gonna joke and all that, but besides that, let's get into the actual stuff besides comedy. How would you react if you were in a female's body, having to get changed, dress up in clothes that you didn't ever really need to dress up into, how to use the bathroom, and if you're a female, the monthly cycle. I mean, how would that be handled if a guy was in a female body? And that's exactly what this series does, Inside Mari. What happens if a dude with no future, that has nothing going for him, he's a college student, and he hasn't gone to school in like 2 to 3 years, and like I said, he's lazy, he's a bum, he's a neat, he doesn't do anything, and after all of this time, he just admires this girl from afar. Her name is Mari and all that. He didn't really even know her, but he admires her from afar every time, every day, at 9 o'clock, he admires her, and then one day, as he's following her, he wakes up in her body the next morning. Now, I'm not going to go into any more details. I don't want to spoil anything, but basically, what would happen if you went into someone's body, but then when you tried to find them, and, you would assume since it's a body swapping manga, the girl would be in his body. That isn't the case. She is nowhere to be found. She is not there. She apparently doesn't exist anymore, which is really weird. And so, the concept of the manga automatically has a very different take to it compared to the normal body swapping, but also, it's very dark. There is no comedy in this series. If you're expecting comedy, if you're expecting a lot of laughs and stuff, then you're not going to get it from the series. It's very dark, and it fits the tone of the previous works from this mangaka, so it's understandable completely. But basically, though, I just feel like many might not want to, like, read this series because it's body swapping, but I'll tell you right now, there's a really interesting plot twist towards the end that reminded me like, why I love the psychological genre in the first place. Yes, there's a lot of psychological stuff in this series, and it really makes you think. It really just makes you just sit back and think about the message or the meaning of a conclusion. And once again, I want to kind of reinstate that this series is completed. There's only 80 chapters. There's only 80 chapters of Inside Mari, and it's completed. It's a conclusion. You don't have to worry about it being ongoing. It is done. Now, is the ending good? Now, I don't want to spoil anything, but personally to me, the ending, I think it's a good ending. I do. I don't think it's the best ending I've ever seen, but it's a really decent ending. It's nothing that was bad. It was nothing that left a bad taste in my mouth where I was disgusted. I felt like it was a really good ending. I mean, many might disagree with me, but I felt like the way the ending was handled and the message of it, the symbolism and all of that, it was quality. It was a good ending. It was a really good way to conclude this type of work, especially since the tone of it was just so dark throughout the entirety of the series. It was a good way to conclude it. And so, like I said, if you're wanting to start an interesting new manga, and you're willing to kind of go out your comfort zone as well if you don't like body swapping, I recommend this. But once again, to reinstate too, this series is very mature. There is, you know, themes in it that are not meant for younger audiences, because the content of this obviously is by the writer of, you know, Aku no Hana and also, you know, Happiness. So if you know their works, you know for a fact that this is going to be a very, very mature series. And like I said, it's not going to be for everyone. So if you want something new, you want to go out of your comfort zone, give it a shot. You might like it. So with that being said, I want to end this video here. If you like this video, leave a like and, you know, leave me a comment if you like the series or even if you dislike it. Let me know how you feel about it. And if you want to continue to support me for I Can Focus on YouTube, go into the description and support me on Patreon. It helps me out a lot. And so you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.